And so the time for playing small, the time for constriction, the time for, oh, I'm not good enough, the time for, stop it. It's over. You wouldn't be sitting here in this room if there wasn't that part of your soul that knew and gravitated to this and was ready. And was ready for the new dimension that is you. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote, we have to be free from self-condemnation or condemnation of the world or other people, because our condemnation of others is very much a projection of our own unconscious condemnation of ourselves. So the way in which we treat other people is the way in which we treat ourselves. He goes on to say, we must have faith in ourselves, in life, and in God. Every man is either his own success or his own failure story. In such degree as we develop the ability to see joy everywhere, joy will come back to us. Let me repeat that. In such degree as we develop the ability to see joy everywhere. How you doing with that one? I got one great. I got a couple of murmurs. I got one physical joy right here on the front row. How are you doing with that? In such degree as you develop the ability to see joy in everyone, in everything, is the degree then in which that which is joy shows up for you and I. And so I love the way in which we try to find wiggle room with that. We spend a lot of energy trying to find wiggle room in the law. Yeah, but. It's the big but syndrome, I call it. Yeah, but. And so when we understand that law is law, that consciousness is meeting consciousness, in such degree as we have the ability to see honesty, it will respond to us. In such degree as we flow along with the eternal currents of our being, everything is made easy. But in such degree as we try to swim against the current of life, we are contradicting its divine influx. And even God, as far as we are concerned, cannot seem to pass through the door of our mind when it is closed. Thus saith Ernest Holmes. And so here we are. Here we are in this circle of life. Here we are as this beautiful, pure child, this essence, this beautiful consciousness. And we go through all this crap. And we pick up all this stuff. But at this point where you are sitting in this chair, in this moment, in this hour, there is the part of you that realizes that you are responsible for holding on to the crap. There's a part of you that realizes that the payoff that you think that you have been getting for holding it isn't really paying off anymore. There is that moment now when you realize that it's time to blank or get off the pot. There is that part of you right now that goes, if not now, when? And that's the part of you, that's the eternality of you, that's the consciousness of you that hungers to play with you at such a big level. That's the part that says, prove me now. That's the part where the world says, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. If you're out there, I'm waiting. Come on. Come on. And so in this season of light, the greatest light is you. In your world, you are your own light. You are your own solution. You are your own answer. Everything that you desire, crave, and hunger for is right there. So as we get back into this cycle of life, how are we going to play the rest of this incarnation out? Wouldn't you love to just be all used up? To play so big? To prove this principle? Because that is your inherent nature. And so in these dimensions, this new dimensions, there's a couple of rules. And these are the dimensions and the qualities of the dimensions that you and I are called to play by. The first one is unity. What does it mean? What is unity? Well, in our philosophy, when we pray and we treat, we unify with the idea that first and foremost, there's only one reality. And that reality is that it's all God. And by saying all God, I'm not talking about a person in the sky. I'm talking about perfection. I'm talking about divine order. I'm talking about the essence of life that is in every situation. Again, no wiggle room in that. And so when you and I can accept that and begin to live by that, imagine the transcendence that continues to happen over and over and over and over again in your day-to-day existence. Because suddenly you're not a victim anymore. You are empowered. And so the first requirement in this dimension, this new dimension, is unity. The next one is love. And love is the power of the universe. What I love about love is it's beyond just a feeling. It's beyond just an orientation. It's purposeful living. And when you and I love this. When you and I operate out of love, our purpose then becomes crystal clear because our purpose is etched in love. How many of you have tried so hard to find your purpose, to find a career, to find this path, to find your reason for being in this world, and we spin our wheels? Oh my God, in that first version of the cycle of life, we bought into the whole idea of competition. We bought into the whole idea of lack, and there's only so much good out there, and so we got to work hard, and we got to do all of this, and we bought into that lie, forgetting that the universe is infinite, and that one of the rules of that dimension is love. And the moment that you incorporate everything from love, your purpose then just pops into being. And you see it all the time where people have had this lifetime of living or doing and breathing a certain pattern of life. And then they have an experience. Their heart opens. And then all of a sudden it's as if life finally reveals itself. And so I'm saying, why wait? That heart-opening experience is wanting to happen now. The next dimension is life. Life in and of itself. Life is love in action. So in order to understand how to be in unity and to be in love, you got to put yourself out there. You got to show up. You can't hide out anymore. This is not a wallflower philosophy. You got to walk out into that. You got to walk out into that life knowing who you are. And in the knowingness of that, the Scripture says, "Let the dead bury the dead." What does that mean? That's not a tagline for Forest Lawn. Let the dead bury the dead. Let the dead bury the dead means stop dwelling on the old mistakes already. The more you keep dwelling on the old mistakes, the longer the dead is burying the dead in your existence. Life is here. Life is now. Life is not waiting until something is cleared up. Life is not waiting until they get out of the house. Life is not waiting until that job is handled. Life is not waiting until you're out of debt. Life is not waiting until you feel better. Life is now. Life is now. The next one is respect. In that new dimension, there is a place of respect that is irreplaceable. And guess where the respect has to start with? Yourself. You have to treat yourself like you would treat someone who was royalty. Because you are royalty. And as you take that respect and you own that, then the knowing that you and your Creator have then becomes a covenant. And in that covenant are all the answers and all the resources that you need to live this life. I don't know what it's going to look like today, but what I do know is that I am going to respect myself in every single second with every breath. I am not going to forget who I am. The next one is honesty. And what I love about honesty and what I've come to realize is that when you are brutally honest, and that's probably not the best word, brutally honest. When you are lovingly honest, thank you. Thank you for respecting that. When you are so honest, guess what happens? Solution comes, bam. When we try to mask over or avoid or spin or do all of these kinds of things in our life, which really are just nothing more than avoidance mechanisms, then solution kind of hangs out right here. But the moment that honesty comes in, bam, so does solution. It's right there. And so you and I are asked to be honest in all things. Many doors are shut to a dishonest person because it is impossible to navigate through self-deception. And then lastly is justice. Justice. Justice is that beautiful energy of balance and fair exchange. Exchange is one of the key basics of life. You get that you and I are constantly exchanging with one another. We're exchanging goods and services. We're exchanging energy. We're exchanging constantly. There isn't a second where you and I are not engaged in that. And what I've come to laugh about that is that in that exchange, some days it's a traffic ticket. And then the next day it's 50% off of something that I didn't see expecting. And then the next day it's a really large heating bill. And then the next day it's free tires and an oil change. And then do you see there is this balance that just happens? And so regardless of what it looks like, there's justice happening because the world is fair. The world is fair. And so when you understand that the world is fair, then you celebrate the traffic ticket and the high heating bill just as much as you would celebrate the free lunch. Because you get that there is an ebb and a flow and there is more than enough. And I never, ever have to take advantage of someone else in order for me to get my fair share. And so in these dimensions, the dimension of unity, love, life, respect, honesty, and justice, those are the calling cards. That is what is beckoning you and I to stand forth and to be what it is. What it is that this expression of consciousness came to experience in this lifetime. Do you want that? 4 of you do. That's why we're here. Our mind, Oliver Wendell Holmes, our mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to an old dimension. You know what? That's kind of my job, is to remind you of that, is to encourage you, to beckon you, to say, stop going back. Stop looking in the rearview mirror. Stop looking in the rearview mirror. What I love about this time of year is that for some reason we give ourselves more permission to let go. As we wind down a calendar year and as we step into a new energy, we give ourselves permission to just say, okay. And boy, for those first 3 weeks in January, you're really good. But see, this is what we do all year long. This is what community is about. This is why we look at one another when we remind each other and we tell each other the truth of who you are. And if you want that, if you can take that, then keep showing up and keep putting one foot in front of the other. And know that by saying yes, the universe says yes back.